roots go deep, no storm can take. This land of ours where hearts ignite. Saipan stands holding tight. Tinian whispers, winds that heal. Roar rises, forged in steel. Island strong, we carry on. Through the dark, we find the dawn. Hold the line, we sing our song. Saipan Tinian Rota, island strong. Sky turns gray, but we don't fall. Towers crumble, we rebuild all. Sweat and tears, they mark the ground. Every loss, the strength we found. Mountains call, they stand so proud. Oceans roar, but we're not cowed. Island strong, we carry on. Through the dark, we find the dawn. Hold the line, we sing our song. Saipan Tinian Rota, island strong. Island strong, we carry on. Through the dark, we find the dawn. Hold the line, we sing our song. Saipan Tinian Rota, island
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. Democrats voted to block legislation to fund the Department of Homeland Security and several other agencies as they continue to negotiate with the Republicans in the White House on new restrictions for President Trump's surge in immigration enforcement. Virginia Democrat Mark Warner says trust is an issue.
We need to see things in writing, and the notion that we're going to somehow trust what their initial position was. Well, we'll do this on executive action. That doesn't pass the smell test.
Louisiana Republican John Kennedy expects tough negotiations.
The Democrats can propose anything unless it looks like they are gutting Homeland Security and ICE like a fish, and that's not something that the Republicans are going to vote for.
The two sides are discussing a possible agreement to separate Homeland Security funding from the rest of the legislation and fund it for a short term. The AP's Sagar Magani reports President Trump is asking Russia to hold off attacking Ukraine's capital.
As Kyiv and other cities face a brutal cold stretch, Russia has been pounding Ukrainian infrastructure, leaving many without heat. During a cabinet meeting,
I personally asked President Putin not to fire on Kiev and the cities and towns for a week during this. It's extraordinary. It's not just like cold, it's extraordinary cold.
The president says Putin agreed, but there's no confirmation from Moscow. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov was asked earlier if Russia and Ukraine are talking about mutually halting strikes on energy facilities, and refused comment. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Authorities say a man claiming to be an FBI agent showed up to a federal jail in New York and told officers he had a court order to release Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This is AP News. The AP's Marissa Duhaney reports a familiar name is running for a new seat.
Minnesota, we've been through a lot.
Democratic U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar says she's running for governor of Minnesota. Klobuchar's decision gives Democrats a high-profile candidate and proven statewide winner as their party tries to hold on to the office occupied by Governor Tim Walz. Walz abandoned his campaign for a third term earlier this month amid criticism over mismanagement of taxpayer funding for child care programs. Klobuchar announced her candidacy in a video message posted Thursday.
These times call for leaders who can stand up and not be rubber stamps of this administration.
Klobuchar has been one of the loudest Trump critics, most recently over the immigration enforcement effort that has prompted massive protests. The Minnesota contest is expected to test Trump's law and order approach against Democrats' criticisms of his administration's tactics.
Israel has returned Palestinian bodies, marking the last exchange between Israel and Hamas. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
Are you or someone you know living with a mental illness? Have you experienced abuse or neglect, denial of services, or discrimination because of a mental illness or disability? You have rights. NMPOSSE is the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems Incorporated, and we're here for you. Individuals diagnosed with mental illness have human, civil, and legal rights under federal and local law. No one should be mistreated, denied services, or discriminated against because of a disability. NMPOSSE's PIME program provides protection and advocacy for individuals with mental illness and provides information about your rights, advocacy, and assistance for eligible individuals, and support in cases involving abuse, neglect, or discrimination. Services are confidential and provided at no cost to eligible individuals. To learn more, call NMPOSSE today at 670-235-7273 or 7274, or email gborja@nmposse.org. If you see something, say something. And stay anonymous. Call Crime Stoppers at 234-7272 or submit a tip online at nmicrimestoppers.com. No names, no caller ID, no recordings, just your info. And if your tip leads to an arrest, you could earn up to $1,000 in cash. Your tips have helped take hundreds of criminals off the streets in the NMI. It works because of you. Crime Stoppers, we want your information, not your name. PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Hey bro, can I grab your bush?
Yeah man, go for it.
Right on. Thanks bro. Hey bro, can I grab your bush too?
Sure bro, go ahead.
Thanks.
Now I can grab my own bush. Saipan, it's time to grab your bush. Pick up a 12-pack of ice-cold Bush, and you're in for more than just a refreshing beer. Every 12-pack gives you a chance to win exclusive Bush gear and more. So don't wait. Swing by your favorite store, grab your Bush, and join the fun. Because here in Saipan, the best moments are even better with Bush. Grab your Bush today.
alarm clock bark. Sky still gray. Radio clicks on. Static haze. Good morning, Marianas. In my face. Brad yelling, wake up, Saipan. No escape. Coffee burns my lip. He laughs in my kitchen. Talks like he knows every bruise that I am in. Good morning, Marianas. Rise up, Saipan. Hearts on the harbor. Headlines in his hand. Good morning, Marianas. Live from the reef to the ridge. Bread with the weather. And a dare on the bridge. Traffic on Beach Road. Kids half dressed. He jokes about rain and unpaid rent. Says call the show. Tell me what you regret. Then plays our song like a second chance bet. He says, say your name, we say it like a prayer. Through busted speakers, we are almost there. Good morning, Marianas. Rise up, Saipan. Shacks and condos, all sing with the fan. Good morning, Marianas. Old scars, new daylight. Brad talks nonsense, somehow gets it right. Who is this voice in my cracked dashboard? Why does it feel like he is keeping score of every tired island soul dragged out of bed? Every maybe I will make it spinning in my head. Good morning, Marianas. Rise up, Saipan. Bad roads, good stories, all part of the plan. Good morning, Marianas. Yeah, shout it again. Brad says you are awake, so start living it then.
Nina's kitchen, so delicious. I need a burger and a soda with it. It tastes so great, got me so addicted.
Oh my goodness. If you're not thinking Ina's Kitchen already, I understand it. Only because I learned of a new tradition that started today. It's called Donut Friday. Yeah, I saw Carrie and the kiddos over there at Winchell's. I have no coffee left in this office. I had to stop by. I'm like, I meant to buy some coffee yesterday, but I couldn't. I got out late for everything, so I got to go out and get coffee. Coffee sponsors looking at you. You guys want me to talk about how great your coffee is. This could be the place. It could be the place. Anyway, I'm out of it, so I need to go and get some. And so I stopped over at Winchell's. I'm like, I'll get a frit or two. And where I see a bunch of sticky face, donut face kids walking out of there and getting into their car. You know their car is going to look like Jackson Pollock painting with all the donut fragments. And they're like, yeah, this is our tradition. It's called Donut Friday. I'm like, I love Donut Friday. I think I've had too many Donut Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sundays. That's my problem. But the idea of just doing Donut Friday sounds like pretty awesome, and may have to be my new jam. So I want to thank all of them, Carrie and the kiddos, for teaching me something new. Donut Friday. I love Donut Friday now, and I'm totally enjoying it right now. I only have a little bit of coffee left. So today we might run out of gas. We'll find out. Good news is we've got one of our representatives coming here from Precinct 1, Vincent Cobre Aldon. He's going to come in here to talk about some new stuff that he's got lined up for utilities. He is Mr. Utilities. That's right. There's always an idea going on for Cobre, and he's going to come in to tell us about what he knows and what one of the programs that he's got going on. Man, there's so much I got to talk about today, and I just don't want to bring everybody down right from the beginning because, you know, it's so disappointing to wake up and, you know, to the news that we lost someone that means so much to our community and somebody who's meant a lot to so many people over the years. And, you know, I know it's not reasonable to expect that everyone is going to live forever and that you'll always be able to look up to these folks because they'll be here and you'll be able to count on them for their messaging and for their friendship. But while we were waking up, we saw that we lost Lino Olapai. He's just a cultural icon, I think is a good way to say it. In fact, he was honored as such by the humanities. And wow, it is sad to know that we live on an island that doesn't have a Lino Olapai now. I know that he's passed and he'll always be a part of the fabric that's woven into our culture and our community. But man, you know, he's such a good person. I'm so glad I got to meet him. I'm so glad that he was a friend and so welcoming, always the nicest guy, the nicest person, so generous with his time, so generous with his stories, so generous with whatever he had, he would give it to you. He'd give you the shirt off his back if he was wearing a shirt. You know, oftentimes he wouldn't be. Oh, gosh, it's such a loss. You know, as sad as I am, I'm happy for him because I know he'll be in a better place than where we are today. But, you know, he just means so much to so many people. And for so many different reasons. I just want to talk about one quick story, one Lino story. This is when I was working over at Pacific Islands Club. I was the director for sports, entertainment, and activities. Fun stuff, right? The king of the clubmates. And I want to do some team building activities for us. You know, I want to get our managers and supervisors and our leads all, you know, together and doing something that isn't just sitting in like a room talking about stuff or whatever. So we showed up early one day. The plan was that this is it. We're going to go out and paddle. We're going to get the kayaks. We have a canoe. We're going to take that out and we're going to go out and we're going to paddle south. Now, these guys don't know this already, but we already reached out to Lino and said, hey, can we come over to the beach and talk to you? Can you share a little bit about the you know, the culture and the water and everything? He said, sure, no problem. Bring your team over. So when we got there that morning, and this is early in the morning, it's before the water park opens up. It's before everybody at the hotel is really doing hotel stuff and working. And we landed on the beach at his house in CK, and he was there waiting for us. And we got out, you know, everybody, and they're like, ooh, what's this? And we start talking and talks to us about paddling and the water and the culture. And it was just really pretty awesome. And, you know, the clubmates was a combination of folks who are from here. Some of them knew him. They knew Lino. Most of them did not. You also got your folks from off island, you know, your clubmates that are from the mainland or places outside of the CNMI. And they got to meet him there on the beach. And it's so Saipan to be able to offer an experience like that. And the thing is, those opportunities are everywhere if we choose to take them. We are in a time where, you know, the people who helped shape our Commonwealth, the people who were influential at the time of even getting a Commonwealth and transitioning from a trust territory to a Commonwealth. We've only got these folks with us for a little while. take advantage of these opportunities to speak with them. Ask them their stories. Don't rely on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and TikToks to tell you your history and your culture. Talk to them now while you can. You're so lucky. You are so lucky to live in a place where there's people who helped shape the very nature of the system that we're living in right now, and they're still here. They're not in a history book. You don't have to do research to find. You can talk to them. They will tell you about what it was like. They'll tell you about their interactions with those folks. They'll talk to you about what it was like campaigning from island to island, talking about should we form the covenant with the United States. Talk to them while you can. From all the cultures. It's amazing what Saipan was like before that we had all these paved roads, before we had street signs, before we had traffic lights. Talk to them now. I'm glad that we've had a lot of conversations. And you know what's really great? Before we started this whole thing, working over at Triple J, it's, the folks at Triple J are great. And one of the things I loved about them is that, they've got, the surf riders right there. You've got the surf club. You've got the Great Harvest, and their headquarters are all in that same area, right? Right there. Oh, and the homes, the building right there also, its names escape me. It's not Seaside. I can't remember what it's called. But they've got the housing unit right there too. But nestled in there is Lino's place. And the best part about it, even the Holly dudes who work for them, like the guys from Off Island, still make a regular point of visiting Lino Olapai and his family and talking to them. After the storms, going over there. Like, I remember Mario going over there. Hey, how you guys doing? I saw some, we had some damage from that storm, whatever, can we help you out? Like anything, because they loved him too. I remember just walking over a random morning. Let's just go say hi to him, see how he's doing. And of course, he's offering us stuff right away. Here, coffee, water, hey, go get them. Lino Olapai. I mean, I can't imagine anybody goes unfazed, but I never heard anybody say boo, anything bad about him. I know we always smile in photos for the most part, but I don't think I'll ever forget his smile and his handshake, which was just like, I try to describe it. He, as an older guy, when you get older, your grip's not as strong, like where you're trying to crush, like when you're a kid, when you try to crush the other person's hand. But it was firm and sincere. And somehow still gentle, like the person that he is. But he's also fierce in his passion for the culture and his advocacy for the protection of the Marianas. Oh, Lino, I'll tell you, I've lost a bunch of folks who I've been close to, and I've shed a bunch of tears, but something about it, like, I'm filled with just the smile. I am sad that we will miss you, that we won't have that opportunity to spend time with you anymore. But I feel somehow, it's hard to describe, because I don't think I've had this. I still feel with kind of a happiness for having known you, and being able to tell the story that my experiences with you, and how you in your generosity and your ability to share stories and make people feel welcome every single time. And that was one of the things for me, again, not being from here originally, growing up here as an adult, as opposed to growing up here from day one. When people remember who you are And he's one of the first people, that would remember, he is that guy. He's not going to remember me when I go over and say hi to him or something like that, but I'm going to go do it anyway. Brad. Just one of those people that made me feel welcome here at a relatively early time. Lena Olapai. Oh, man. I'll tell you, our community is better for having known you for sure. But it is sad to know that you're not here with us now. In fact, here, it's a better picture. I do like it, but I'll put this on here anyway because we got your dates on there and everything. But, and this is such a nice picture of him, isn't it? What a great picture. That's him. On the water. De mujer. On a canoe. Olapai. With a smile. With that smile. He is. Man of knowledge and the willingness to educate others of history and culture, says Peeling. Yep. Eric Mofnas, condolences and prayers to his family and friends. He was a great man with a huge heart, loved by lots, will be missed by many. Gone, but will never be forgotten. Indeed. Tobot says, rest in paradise. Venus says, I was fortunate enough to meet him with Travis and Shai at Christmas. What an incredible man. Oh, you are lucky. Yeah, it was it was just great to get to know him. But I'll tell you what, CNMI is a better place because of Lena Olapai and folks like Lena Olapai. True story, no doubt about him. Well, there's no easy way to segue on that one. So we're gonna have our next guest coming in here momentarily. But the good news is we do have the news update from the Associated Press from 8 o'clock. So let's get to that now.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's border czar is suggesting there could be a drawdown in the number of immigration enforcement agents in Minneapolis. But Sagar Magani reports there's a caveat.
Amid protests over operations and a fatal shooting,
President Trump wants this fixed, and I'm going to fix it with your help.
Tom Homan says some agents could leave if state and local officials cooperate. Among other things, he's re-upping calls for local jails to transfer custody of illegal immigrants to ICE rather than releasing them and forcing agents to find them.
More agents in the jail means less agents in the street.
Homan's also doubling down against protesters, calling them agitators, and warning against assaulting or getting in the way of his officers.
And there will be zero tolerance.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
In the Senate, Democrats voted to block legislation to fund the Department of Homeland Security and several other agencies as they continue to negotiate with Republicans and the White House on new restrictions for President Trump's immigration enforcement surge. The Justice Department has charged the man who attacked Representative Ilhan Omar at an event in Minneapolis this week. Hai Panchwani has details.
The man arrested for the attack, Anthony Kazmierczak, faces a charge of forcibly assaulting, opposing, impeding, and intimidating Omar. That's according to court papers filed in federal court and made public. An affidavit says authorities determined the substance was water and apple cider vinegar. Kazmierczak has a criminal history and has made online posts supportive of President Donald Trump. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Unemployment claims edged lower last week, and mortgage rates have ticked higher, a 30-year averaging 6.1%. And on Wall Street, a day of dramatic swings finished with relatively modest moves. The Dow up, the S&P and the Nasdaq down. This is AP News. Winter's sting being felt hard in the South.
Sadly, we can confirm 10 fatalities.
That's Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves talking about the state's worst winter storm in more than 30 years. And Reeves says nearly 100,000 people are still without power.
There are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of linemen, both from in-state and out-of-state, that are out working.
Some 60 warming centers are open across the state. At the Mississippi state line in Hardin County, Tennessee, the county's emergency management director says people are prepared to manage a couple of days without power, but they can't go on much longer than that. There are more than 96,000 homes and businesses without power in Nashville. Forecasters say sub-freezing temperatures will continue in the eastern U.S. into February, and a new influx of Arctic air will arrive this weekend. I'm Donna Warder.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
If you see something, say something, and stay anonymous. Call Crime Stoppers at 234-7272 or submit a tip online at nmicrimestoppers.com. No names, no caller ID, no recordings, just your info. And if your tip leads to an arrest, you could earn up to $1,000 in cash. Your tips have helped take hundreds of criminals off the streets in the NMI. It works because of you. Crime Stoppers, we want your information, not your name. PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care. All right, good morning, Marianas. It is 8:04 in the morning, and in just a little bit, we're going to have our guest in studio, which is great. But holy cow, look at these guys. These are dolphins who are skiing in Japan right now. These are not stupid pet tricks. Check this out. That's Caitlin, Michaela, Mariana, Don, Devin, and Shem. They are the Marianas High School Dolphins. They're out there with Margie and Crispy. Snow Joe is going to be his new nickname. They're out there, and it's part of the Seiza Japan Cultural Exchange and Ski Program. And they're there at the Neiba Ski Resort. That's not neighbor, but Neiba. It's different, totally different. Look at that, they are having a great time. It looks like that's all fresh powder too. Just judging by the skies and what's floating around. That's not like a groomed resort. Oh, look at that, man. That's just awesome. I wonder what the elevation is out there. It looks amazing. That is a brand new thing. I wonder if they're already up there on the hill. It doesn't look like they're on the bunny slope. I don't see them with an instructor. I'm more surprised that none of them are snowboarding. But that looks, wow, you can really ski right to your hotel room over there. The rooms go right down, and it looks great. They've got numbers on. Oh, those two look like they're native instructors. So all those folks in the green vest, that must be people who are learning to ski, because the two people who are next to them without any vests, it looks like they may be teaching them how to do everything. But wow. Well, I say thanks to you guys for sending that in there. We're going to post it up so everyone can see it a little bit later today, but that looks awesome. I hope you guys are having a great time out there in Japan. Oh, man. Well, we have our guest who just rolled in. I'm going to play something just to break it up a little bit. I'll give you guys the sports update just so I can get him situated and get him ready for the prime time, the lights, the cameras, the action, and everything. So don't go anywhere and just sit tight for a couple of moments while we get you this update from Fox Sports.
Fox Sports Update.
Live Golf is losing another star. Patrick Reed announced Wednesday he will no longer compete on the Live Golf Tour, with an eye toward playing in PGA Tour events later this year. PGA Tour released a statement saying Reed would be eligible to return to competition on August 25th, 2026. Reed, who won the Masters in 2018, will continue to compete on the European Tour in the meantime. His announcement comes one day before five-time major champion Brooks Koepka returns to the PGA Tour at Torrey Pines.
This is Ainsley Earhart. Thank you for joining me for the 52-episode podcast series, The Life of Jesus.
A listening experience that will provide hope, comfort, and understanding of the greatest story ever told. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Heading over to the NFL, Broncos quarterback Bo Nix was forced to watch as his team lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Nix suffered a broken bone in his ankle the week before in the divisional round, with head coach Sean Payton saying Tuesday the fracture was inevitable due to a pre-existing condition. Nix has had several ankle operations going back to high school. The Broncos owner Greg Penner has no concerns about his long-term health.
Zero concern. His surgery was a straightforward surgery, went very well. Absolutely no issues there or concerns going forward.
That was courtesy of the Broncos, as Nix is expected to miss 3 to 4 months as he recovers from surgery. Staying in the NFL, the Browns have hired Todd Monken to be the next head coach in Cleveland. Monken will be a first-time NFL head coach after 11 years as an assistant, the last 3 of which he spent as the Ravens offensive coordinator. And in the NBA, the Giannis Antetokounmpo rumor mill is heating up again. According to ESPN, Giannis is ready for a new home ahead of the NBA's trade deadline, and several teams have made the Bucks aggressive offers. Milwaukee could also wait until the offseason to move on from the 2-time MVP and NBA champion. Giannis has been non-committal regarding his future in Milwaukee, and the Bucks enter Wednesday's NBA action 3.5 games out of the play-in tournament. For more scores, stories, and features, go to foxsports.com. I'm Joe Morgan.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
As the day unfolds with laughter and cheer, Brad's got the magic that brings us all near. Sharing tales of hope, dreams that shine bright. Good morning, Marianas, together we ignite. So join the palm trees, we dance through the days. The rhythm and soul in so many ways. Together we rise, through the moments we share. Good morning, Marianas, feel the love everywhere. Wake up to the sunshine in the morning light. Good vibes all around, everything feels right. Brad on the show, bringing joy to our day. Into the Marianas breeze, let the worries drift away. Yeah, that was the air. Connection grows stronger. We show that we care. Rocks on to feel the soulful flow. Look right on in Mariana, that's where you belong. The sweet island breeze and the ocean's embrace. Brad's got the stories, sunlight behave. Southside meditated, fall in this ride. Yeah, we're shining with love as our guide. So raise your voices high, let the music play on. Good morning, Marianas, we're where you belong.
All right, good morning, Marianas. It is 8:11 in the morning right now. That's so much better than an hour from now. We've got a lot going on, and we do have our guest in studio. He's getting some stuff fired up for us that we're going to be able to share. It's great that we've got him in here. He is the good congressman from Precinct 1. His name is Vincent Cobre Aldon. He is the fact fighter of the Commonwealth. He is the one who's out there trying to make sure that our utility rates are low and letting us know like how all that stuff's going. He's got some stuff going on there. One of the things that we asked him if he could come on because we saw this thing about the Ratepayer Relief Independent Oversight Act. It's to the CAUC exemption from the 1% OPA fee. And it's a briefing for the governor's office and CPUC. We're excited to have him here with us and on the show and to share with us everything that's been going on while he's still getting all that stuff for us. But the good news is we're going to be able to share that stuff on the screen so you guys are going to be able to see it too. Here you go. Here's some of it right here. We're pulling it down. We're downloading it and getting it right there. There's the OPA schedule. And there's the CUC. This guy never stops working. I'll tell you what. You know, I've heard a lot of people talk about the about the folks that we've got in office, and should it be a part-time legislature? This is a guy who never stops working over there for the legislature. Thanks for coming in this morning, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. Well, let me see. I wonder which one of these. I got 2 microphones in front of them too. I don't know which one's going to be better. Maybe I'll get one of these out of your way. That might be better. Here, let's do that. Instead of both, I have them both on too. But here, we'll move this over so it'll be closer to you.
All right.
Kind of out of your way. All right. Well, anyway, Congressman, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Good morning, Marianas.
Hey, well, we are happy to have you here this morning for sure. And I know we're going to be talking about a lot of things. In fact, you shared with us some stuff recently about the utilities and all that stuff. In fact, I'm going to be popping this stuff on the screen so everyone could see it too. But, well, first of all, welcome. Good morning. How you been?
Outstanding. God is good, always.
Yeah, you are out there with everything. I'll tell you, with one of the things that we hear from you a lot about is like self-sufficiency and, taking care of what you got, and then the solar, getting off the grid, everything. CUC has kind of been your thing. You are the CUC congressman. I remember we used to have one of our friends, people used to joke like, oh, he's Facebook. Well, you are the utilities guy. This is your, I don't know if it's your passion or your frustration. What is it that made CUC such a big thing for you?
It's everything really, because it all started when in my military career, working on ships and whatnot. I was assigned to the engineering department, and my job practically is propulsions for the ships, the power plant, water plant, sewer plant. You name it, we did it. A ship is like pretty much a floating city. Everything that any building or like our whole island is practically on that ship. Mm-hmm. So I understand how the system works. Yeah, and so and also frustration on on how CUC is being managed. So that's the reason why, ever since I ran for the House, it's always been all about CUC. Because it is my passion and it is frustrating, and I share the sentiments of majority of the public that something is not right, and if everyone feels like something is not right, then something is not right. Mm-hmm. So yes.
Well, it's definitely, you're making waves and you're getting stuff done, and you're bringing attention to some issues that some people think that maybe we haven't heard enough about this stuff. Or maybe people have had enough of hearing about it. They don't even know where to begin with some of this stuff. We hear about like the bad debt is a really big deal, and then people are talking about like the fuel adjustment charge, right, and how does that factor in? You've said some things that made some great sense to me about like how they should reconsider how they calculate the bad debt with the fuel adjustment charge, and one of the things you were talking about, like, should write that off and get somebody to go and give it to a collections agency and deal with it, and then that way we can reset the fact to deal with it.
Right. So and so the fact rate, it's supposed to be, and I hope it is, that it's only fuel. It's supposed to be nothing but fuel and oil to operate the generators. And the one thing I do understand is that there's a lot of cost that goes into operating a utility. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I do not understand about CUC is the breakdown. Why do they not break down the billing, so that they can show the people what exactly are they paying for, So we understand that, there's the cost of fuel and oil. Okay. And then what about the maintenance? What about that 1%? What about the arrears? Because somebody has to pay for that. Mm-hmm. It is not free. And so I know a lot of people were irate or unhappy when I introduced the bill that became law when we removed all the penalty and interest for the hospital, which I believe is rightfully so, because when we were calculating the penalty and the arrears compared to the principal, it's over 50%. The banks don't even do that. Only a loan shark does that. I mean, come on now. I mean, who charges 50%? So that means that for every dollar that I owe 50 cents. It doesn't make any sense. So when you look at I hope that people can see this. If you can pull up the
Which one do you want?
The CUC accounts receivable.
Okay, the accounts receivable. Okay, let's get that one on there. I do have it right there.
Right.
There we go.
Right. So if the people actually see this, so let's just take a look at the hospital portion, right? Right now, the balance as of November 30th, 2025, last year, it's at 30.8 million, right?
Wow.
Before we did this, it was at 73. And, that is just on penalties and arrears. So imagine that, we took it down from 70, when we removed the penalties and the arrears compounded, we took it down from 70 plus million down to 30.8 million now.
No kidding.
So, and I understand that people also want, their penalties and arrears to be erased, and that's unrealistic to do so. And that's the reason why I'm trying to find other ways to reduce the debt that we have to carry, because it doesn't make any sense for me whatsoever, with how the government operates. And here's the one thing that people, should understand. Let's go to civics, government 101. When the government, the government doesn't create anything, it doesn't provide any product or services that are really, what do you call that is really, how would you define this?
Tangible?
Right. So the government really doesn't produce anything, other than just regulating and taxing. So when it collects those taxes, it's supposed to use those taxes to pay off the, products and services that it consumes. So if you are the government and you're collecting my, you're taking my paycheck, and you're taking like 30% of my paycheck, right? That 30% is supposed to pay for the products and services that you as the government consume to regulate the community, right? And one of those is utilities. So if you're taxing me and a portion of that tax is supposed to go to the utilities, why are you not paying the utilities? And then now that you're not paying the utilities and the arrears is off the chart, the CUC has to collect that.
Right.
Right. So what do? They tag on these arrears to us, the ratepayers. And that is extremely fair. And to me, that's theft. You're taking my money to pay for the services that you're supposed to provide me, but then you're not. Then what are you doing with my tax dollars? You know what I mean? So this is technically kind of like a hidden tax on utilities, again. So technically, because the CUC is a government entity, technically the government is double taxing, the community.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So, and I hope the people, see this. So if you look at the balance sheet right now, the total balance sheet for the central government, the hospital, PSS, CPA, other government agencies, the balance right now is $36.4 million. That's crazy. Right. And then on the public side, it's $22.3 million for a total of $58.8 million. What kind of corporation, if this was a private corporation and your arrears is that much, you would be bankrupt. You would be totally bankrupt. So, because CUC is the only, is a monopoly, they get away with it. But imagine if this was an actual company, it would be bankrupt. But the people are the one that's paying for this. And then, so when you look at these arrears, right, this is just on the arrears side that the government owes. So I hope the people are listening and actually looking at this thing, that it's, The government itself is 36.4 million. The community itself, residential and commercial, is 22.3 million for a grand total of 58.8 million. We budgeted on the 2026 budget 2 million. How is that going to pay for this? It's not.
For the whole CNMI?
Yes.
$2 million?
Yes.
For utilities?
Yes.
Wow.
But the arrears is, CUC's total arrears is 58 point, and the government is 36.4. The math is not mathing.
So, all right. So let me ask you this. I get what you're saying about like it's if CUC like taxing, but CUC, when it comes to this stuff, right? Like the CUC isn't given the budget from you guys, right, to pay for the utilities. CUC, don't you give them? Sorry, let me change it. Let me phrase this better. When you, the purse, the power of the purse is in the house, right? So that's you guys. So you end up making budgets, or based on the input from all the agencies, and you give the money accordingly, right?
Yes.
Is that, okay, so if that's how that works, and if they're coming to you saying, like, Department of so-and-so is saying, I need X amount of dollars for my utilities, and you give them this money for their accounts, and they don't spend it on their utilities, but they spend it on other stuff, that's not CUC's fault.
No.
Right? That's the fault of the people who run that agency.
Right.
For not spending that money. So
right. But then it's also CUC's fault for not actually going out there and cutting that power.
So could you do it differently to get around this? Could you just allocate the money directly to CUC for each one of those agencies so they don't get into that kind of situation? This is thinking outside the box.
Right.
You're right. Because
it would make sense, right?
The CUC tried to go to the hospital and cut him off, right? And what happened? The dude got fired like the next day. And it wasn't the next day, but but they're like, yep, you're out of here, Howley guy. Done, right? Somebody had to be that guy. He's like, I'll be that guy. And then he got a plane ticket and he's gone home. Right. So the power and the water at the hospital is one thing, but and they've got to pay for their own. They're not allocated any money from your budget, right, for utilities?
The hospital?
Yeah.
No, everything is included in their budget. They decide how to spend it.
But okay, but in their budget request, do they put utilities?
They're supposed to put utilities, and yes, they do put utilities.
So what if you just do an end around, and if we see that there's a clear-cut issue where the regular taxpayer is the one who's getting taxed twice? You're paying for the utility because you want to support those government agencies and their ability to produce the power. But if they're not paying for their power, then you have to pay for it again on the FAC. Right, and so you're not just paying for it with your regular taxes. You're paying it now directly with, with your power bill. Couldn't you just not directly give that money to them, and so the money give it directly to CUC, so that whatever they're budgeted for the rest of the year, you guys make sure that their utilities are covered, and if they don't spend it that way, that's on them to try to figure it out.
Right. So I am looking into a legislation like on that all appropriated funds for all agencies that has CUC in their budget that would go directly to CUC. It doesn't have to go through finance. Once it's budgeted, finance writes the check and then goes straight to CUC or direct deposit to CUC. So I am entertaining that legislation, because at the same time you got to understand that we cannot, just because we give you we do have the power of the purse. You request something, we look at it. If it makes sense, then we approve it, right? So it goes back to you. So it is your due diligence to make sure that you pay for the services that you consume, or the products that you consume, to operate your agency. So I am entertaining that, but there is a fine line that we don't want to overstep the legislation, into the executive branch, and the legislative branch into the executive branch. That's the fine line that I do not want to cross, and you shouldn't be crossing it. So I'm very careful in how we do this, and that's one of the reasons why that it's very, I hope, that since it's election season, I hope people come out and participate and actually run so that they can see and feel how, as fast as we want to solve problems, you know what I mean? It's difficult.
So you're coming up with a real rational answer. And I'm saying, let's burn that mother down. No. But really, like, I don't know if it's overstepping. If they're failing to do what they're supposed to do. Right. With paying. And now I am sure that the answer is going to be, well, Brad, you got to make some tough choices. Right. There are some tough choices to make. Well, yes. But there's also tough choices for people who live in a house that don't get that opportunity and get their stuff cut off. They have to make those choices too. Right. And they are choosing to keep the power on so their kids can do their homework and everything.
Which is crazy, right?
Not keep their utilities at like
It's that
50
simple.
below zero, right? My kids don't have to get winter clothes being in my house because it's so cold inside the house. Because I'm not paying to keep it that cold inside the house, right? So, but some of these agencies, if they're failing to make that decision, like maybe again, is that it's not an overstep. I mean, it's literally just a direct transfer to the agency. They're asking for this money for that purpose, right?
And that's the reason why that, we're pushing that like all government branches and all government agencies that they switch to that the prepaid, so that way, there's no ands, ifs, or but. If you don't pay your bill, you get cut off. Simple as that.
Yeah, they got prepaid, but it looks like they're doing free paid right now.
Right, absolutely, and that's the frustrating part. So and imagine this is just on the arrear side. So, we came in here to talk about that OPA 1%. So if you open up that OPA schedule, from the CUC, and I hope the public sees this as well, because this is a very, I'm always transparent when it comes to CUC, because the people deserve it, that that's their right to know what's going on in their government. So imagine this. That OPA 1%, right? And OPA, the Office of the Public Auditor, there's a law that was created that no matter what, OPA gets 1% of your operating budget. 1%, blanket 1%. So when I was doing the calculation, an average financial audit for, like, let's say CUC goes anywhere between 300 to 400,000. CUC's operating budget is over 100 million. So guess what 1% is?
$1 million.
Right. So why am I paying $1 million for a service that only costs, 300 to 400,000?
But are they actually paying it?
So that's the thing, evidently they are saying that they are not paying it. Okay, so if you're not paying it, then why are you not paying it? And if you are collecting it, and that's one of the questions that I asked, CUC, that I'm still waiting for their response, because they started implementing the OPA 1% in 1996, right? And they haven't paid. I'm guessing they haven't paid at all, and now they owe $8.1 million. So who's paying for this 1%? It's part of your utility bill. So if you are charging me that 1%, but yet you haven't been paying that 1%, then where did that $8.1 million go?
Where did it go?
Right.
So that's basically CUC taking it.
Right.
And doing something else with it.
Right.
So that sucks.
Absolutely.
By the way, we might have a difference of opinion on one thing, though. The 1%. I like the 1% from all the agencies going to OPA, because then OPA can actually do something.
Well,
because right now they don't do anything. Apologies to the folks at. I'll put myself on the camera for it because I'm the one who's saying it. But I apologize to the folks at OPA in advance if this sounds a little harsh, right? Because I know some of them, and they're good folks, and they care about what they're doing. They don't have any friggin' resources. They got enough people to be at an office But like when we're looking at like all that stuff that people are doing, trying to go after corruption and all this other stuff, and then the bad guy saying, well, it shouldn't be the legislature, it should be OPA. And OPA is like, that sounds great. When they open up their pocketbook, there's a bunch of moths that fly out, right? So they don't have a budget to go after and do all this corruption stuff.
That is not true, because if you look at the letter that I wrote, right, under Article 3, Section 12 of the Constitution, the budget that we create, mandates that, just point blank mandates that OPA gets $500,000 straight up. So if you add that $500,000 that it's mandated by the Constitution to them, they already have a budget of $500,000. But then at the same time, they could still do the audit, and the agencies can still pay for those audits, but pay for the actual cost of the audit.
Well, so I'm looking at something past audits, though, right? Like, I know we won't be too deep in the weeds on it, but I mean, like, if you had $500,000, first of all, if you had 10 people at $50,000 a year who are qualified to do that kind of stuff, then you can't pay for any power, you can't pay for a building, you can't pay for the materials. Like, that's if you have a team of 10 people for all the agencies to really not just audit. It's not I know it's the Office of the Public Auditor, but like they're charged with, and we've heard this for like the last 10 years, they're the ones who are supposed to detect all of this criminal activity and go after and pursue it. Special prosecutors supposed to be coming from that office. They don't have money to do that kind of stuff with this. Like, the amount of intense focus on one agency or one person, they can't do that because they don't have a budget to do that. And nobody's paying them like for that. So that $500,000, that's the only way we disagree. I don't think that they should be getting like, $10 million a year or something like that. Everyone's got a Lexus for their company car. We need to get coffee. Well, take the Escalade. We want to spend more on gas this week. No, but I mean, like, but they are an agency that is super important, and they are treated like bastards. Like, they're like NBA. We're like, we need you. We know you're important. Go figure it out. That's it. That's exactly how we treat OPA and NBA. Same kind of stuff. All right. We can go back to it. I want to get into that really quick, but you're right. Like, having like an $8 million budget is like crazy, right? If that was something that was part of it. But they need something more than like $500,000 to run an agency that's supposed to run oversight on every single agency in the Commonwealth, and have some teeth to be able to go after the bad guys too.
Right, and I have no problem with that. I totally agree. OPA is a very important agency. It is extremely important. But at the same time, it's not fair to be charging more than your actual performance. If you are doing an audit, because remember, every agency is different, right? Some are bigger than others. Some have smaller assets, right? That needs to be audited because those are publicly owned. So if, let's say, for example, that you have a small agency like DCCA, right? Carolinian Affairs Office, right? So let's say that Carolinian Affairs Office, there's only, 5 people that works there. They have one little office. If you're going to do an audit, right, and, it only takes, it's like a $500 or $5,000 audit, but yet, because the law says 1%, so if that means if their budget is like 60,000, they got to pay 1% of that, but yet the audit itself is only worth, $1,000. So why am I going to pay you $5,000 on a project that you did that's only worth $1,000?
So that's a good point. Because how we're talking about this and CUC, it's the same thing though. Right. I'm trying to draw some logic in my head. Maybe I just got to talk it out. But it costs nothing to get water in Rhoda, but people in Rhoda still have to pay that water electric charge, right? They still have to pay the same rate. And it costs less produced power in Saipan than it does in Tinian and Rhoda, because the fuel prices when they get here anyway are cheaper, and you're paying for a smaller community. But we all have the same rate to equalize it, right? So the CNMI, CUC customers all pay the same rate, even though it should cost way more in Rhoda and way more in Tinian. And same with the building power plant stuff, right? I mean, the people in Tinian aren't penalized. It's spread out amongst all the agencies. So I wonder if that kind of logic goes to the same thing with OPA for the audits, just so they can handle the bigger stuff. But I don't know, have they ever had their full budget? Has OPA ever gotten that 1% from everybody? Because like CUC's not paying it and CPA's not paying it. I don't think is PSS paying it. Like there's a lot of agencies who are just like, it's just there. So I don't know what the cost of the audit is, but isn't what they're supposed to be getting paid for, isn't just for an audit, isn't it for the continuous oversight?
Like, when there's an investigation going on, when they're digging really deep, it's going to cost extra, and that's where it comes out of that agency's budget. So, but is the agency paying it? That, remains to be seen, but to me, I'm not trying to investigate all government agencies, and all, directors or whatever, I'm focused on CUC.
No, yeah, I got
you know what I mean.
So I have an idea, only because my ideas are free, and you get what you pay for. So, what about this? Again, I know you're laser focused on this, and thank God for you, because you are. In this instance, for OPA, if they still did, what if they collected from everybody the 1%, right? And let's say we're corruption free since 2003. Like, so this year we end up going through the whole year. They don't have any big trials that they have to pour all these resources into. So they get all this money that they got from last year, and they've only done the audits. And it's like, we're not rolling over $6 million to next year. If they did an equal 1%, they disperse it back to those agencies at the end of the year, so that you find out, hey, so they actually know how much they really need. But on those years where it's like all of a sudden they have to go ham on somebody bought why are we buying $6,000 toasters over there at Carolinian Affairs Office, right? All right, so they got to go in and do a bigger thing. So it's going to cost more money that they can't charge Carolinian Affairs Office. By the way, this is a hypothetical. Right. You can't just charge that office for all of that in a snap, right? So if there is, if they do collect the amount of money that they're supposed to get, and realize that there's all this extra, and it happens over and over again. So first of all, you redisperse all that stuff again and start again next year, and then you guys go from 1% down to maybe 0.5% or something, but of people actually paying it, not I don't know how they do that. It's the Larry David method of bill paying. They don't do it, and what's the penalty for them to not do it?
Right, and there should be a penalty.
And who? Is it on the agency? Because it certainly doesn't seem like it's affecting any people. Like nobody feels like, well, I'm going to jail for this right now.
Oh, and here's the crazy thing when regarding CUC, right? CUC is mandated by the stipulated order that they conduct an audit, right? And every grant that they write also requires an audit. So if they're already getting audited, mandated audit, why can't what does OPA really have to do when the audit is already being done? So that's just an extra cost, so it's not fair for the ratepayers to be paying for something that's already been paid for. You're just you're doing things over and over that is costing you, that is unnecessary.
Yes, if CUC's been collecting 1% and tacking it onto their bill for all these years and not paying for it, where do you start? Like, you're going to call back the executive director from '97, say, hey, by the way, that's CHC billing right there, by the way, right? Have you ever received like a 3-year-old bill from the hospital?
Yes.
We did.
And that's where, that is where, I propose a legislation that CUC be completely audited by a third-party audit, and the bill specifically says that it has to be audited by a utility expert auditor, because they know what to look for. You know, so if you have a professional, and that's all they do is utility audits. You know, they know how to do exactly desk audits. They know how to do asset audit. They know how to do, contract audits. They know how to do all of that. This is not just a regular Berger and Combe or Ernst and Young auditors. No, these guys are, laser focused on utilities, and that's all they do. So
Don and Associates, that's going to be it.
So if you go in there and you know exactly what you're auditing, I can guarantee that, the whoever the auditor will be, is going to find a lot of, skeletons in this closet, and the people deserve it, and the people earn that right to know what exactly is going on in their corporation, But, CUC has been used as a political dumping ground. CUC has been abused, for decades, since inception, probably, But the only way to absolutely find out is to get a professional utility auditors to come in and actually conduct a no kidding for real auditors. You know what I mean? Point blank. And then I made it, in that law, it's like every 10 years you have to audit. It's just like, cleaning your house. Every year you have to go inside, or every year, right? You do spring cleaning, get rid of the old stuff. You're starting a new year and whatnot, so that you know what you have and you know what you don't have, and you adjust accordingly. So CUC needs the same thing. When was the last time has CUC ever been audited like completely by an actual professional auditors?
I don't know.
Right. Nobody knows. And then at the same time, we want CUC to be managed in a manner that is, a business-like manner, to ensure that, when you're conducting this as a business, you are going to make money. At the same time, you're going to save money, which is going to be, a pass-through to the ratepayers. So that's why an audit is necessary, and CUC is one of those entities that needs to be audited. That's the only way we'll find out for sure, and that audit has to be made available to the public, and that's where part of the legislation that I'm proposing is that they do a dashboard, and it has to be on CUC's dashboard so that people can actually see what is going on with their corporation. And every government entity should do that. Every agency should have a dashboard that, every time we give you $1 million for your annual budget, I want to know what you're spending that $1 million for. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm a strong believer in what they, I hope that people actually look at this. Go to usdebtclock.org. And when you go to the usdebtclock.org, you're going to see the national debt. And how much tax and how much interest, and how much the Social Security costs to the nation, how much defense costs to the nation, So that way we can have you have the governor's office, right? And then all the branches from the governor's office, And then if this is your budget, what are the divisions in your department? And you keep breaking it down like that, and you could come up to the penny, because we're a small government. You could come up to the penny on where is my tax dollars going to. And the people needs to understand and needs to know that, and they need to demand that the government, explain to them, where is my penny going through? Because if you're not being responsible with my penny, why should I give you my penny? You know what I mean?
I agree. By the way, this is a wild website.
It is. There's a lot of information in there. And imagine if the CNMI has something like that. The Department of Finance could actually do something like that. And people could actually see where their money is going to.
Wow. Our defense budget debt is crazy. Well, that's just a budget item. That's not the debt. But
right.
Wow, incredible. I remember when I was a kid, when it was a really big deal when our national debt hit $1 trillion. And everybody was losing it, like how insane that was. Right. Here we are, 38 trillion.
Right. And if people understand this, right? I mean, we're going way out left field on this one, but if people understand this, when your interest rate is greater than, than what you're capable of collecting, you're going to be underwater.
We're going to have to Alexander Hamilton this thing and just wipe out the debt and just say, sorry, guys, you're out of luck. That was like around the founding of our nation. Basically, they loaned all this money to try to fight the British, and they're like, well, we're not going to pay you guys back. What a bunch of rogues those guys were, and their powdered wigs. All right, so now we went all the way over to that side, but back to what we got going on here. It's kind of inconceivable, so I keep thinking of Princess Bride with that one, that we have this much bad debt for our utilities, and it's still on the books. The actual amount that's owed, excuse me, not just the fees and the interest, like you already took care of. We still have that much out there, and we're paying for it with every bill. We're paying that money with what we're paying, like when we're paying our bills to those agencies, or we're paying our taxes for those agencies, and it's still not there. Like the idea, like CPA, that they have, they owe like $2.7 million right now for power, or for their back utilities. I mean, the lights weren't even on for a few days. Okay, just kidding. But but they've got so much in. They're intertwined with CUC because of all those water wells that are over there too. In fact, by the way, that sounds like it'd be a great place for a solar farm with all the real estate that they've got right there. They should make some money off of that to pay for it. But with all the money, CUC's they actually have to pay CPA for those land, for all those water wells and everything, don't they?
Right. They should be.
And the big water filtration
or like
and everything.
like a trade-off.
Yeah, I think they need to wipe that out. I mean, not just like brush it off.
Right.
But I mean, I imagine that goes back and forth. It's got to be close. And how could CPA, like CPA is a semi-autonomous agency, just like CHC and PSS. It seems like something you could cut off. I mean, it would be crazy if you cut off the utilities to the Ports Authority, but it also seems like they got to be able to pay for it. Like they shouldn't be in arrears at all for their utilities.
Right. So from my understanding is that the water wells at the seaport, at the airport, those water wells belong to to CUC. Mm-hmm. But of course, you're on CPA land.
Correct.
So they should have a trade. You're gonna give me a discount because you're using my land, but I didn't really dive into that that chaos. But I'm getting there, little by little. Yeah. And it's very difficult to try to convince the members of both House and Senate and the governor to pass legislations that I believe is beneficial to the community at large, to include the central government itself. So if they're not passing those legislation, then I don't know what is. And here's the crazy thing about this this 1%. Of course, that the as we can see, the central government has on their arrears to CUC is. Central government is at 1.5 million, right? Mm-hmm. That's the central government. But then CUC owes 8.1 million, and somebody in the administration is entertaining the idea that CUC should give credit to the central government, to offset the arrears on that OPA 1%. No, I do not agree with that at all, because if you do that, that means you're gonna get free power, while everybody else have to pay for it. When technically, if this is all government agencies I'm trying to get rid of, and rightfully so that you get rid of it. You don't ask for credit. If, let's say, for example, if we take $8 million, is what OPA is owed. You take the central government, you take PSS and CPA and other government agencies, and you wipe that off. Then there's still remaining, arrears that the OPA is owed. Okay, then you take that and then you wipe off CHC. And then, until it zeroes out. But don't you ever ask for credit. You know what I mean? No. Mm-hmm. So use that OPA to wipe off as much as you can on all of these arrears, so that CUC stop tagging this ridiculous 1% to the ratepayers. And then after that, I have a legislation that this is proposal to get CUC away from this 1%. The only time that CUC will pay OPA is for services rendered and what the actual cost of that service is, not blanket 1%. Like I said, it's not fair to pay $1 million when you only did, $400,000 worth of work. Why am I going to pay you $1 million? It doesn't make any sense. Even you wouldn't agree with that.
No, but but the thing is, like, if they end up doing something, and this, again, that's not my field of expertise, right? So, like, this is something, I feel like OPA, though, is a different kind of thing, because you can't then go back to CUC and say, well, we ended up having this big lawsuit against you because you did all these things the wrong way and all this other stuff, and now you owe us like $4 million. I think that's a tough one to pull. I'm trying to think of it from both angles, but I like the idea of us not paying a high rate. I think in the whole scheme of things, of a $100+ million operating budget, that $1 million might not be the straw that breaks the camel's back. But man, I think the source of the problem for this, if you look at that central government, CHC, PSS, CPA, and other government agencies, they're behind $36 million. Right. Except for, PSS, actually, it looks like they're in good shape. Right? So, sorry, PSS, you're good. You got a little bit of that less than 30 days. But other than that, I mean, you're great. Right. In fact, they're ahead, so overall.
Right.
So anyhow, the thing is, though, if you just part of the budget, you guys just end up, like, the budget, we changed the scene of my budget process, which I know sounds crazy and way more involved, but where there is a budget for CUC, but the budget for CUC is after consultation with all the agencies that come in and talk about their budgetary needs for power and water and wastewater. That money just gets put into the allocation to CUC. And so you're not overstepping, and then you're going to find out quickly, nobody who's running an agency wants to be the person who has to come crawling and begging to you guys in August saying, I don't have enough money for my utilities for the rest of the year.
Because we spent it somewhere else.
Because we spent it somewhere else.
Right.
Then you're going to have the scrutiny on the public goes to that person who's running that office. How can that person run that office if they can't even handle the utility budget for their office? Right. You got the wrong person either in that office or the wrong person doing the accounting for that office. Right. It just seems like there's got to, like, that's the easy way instead of having to go back, because here it's blameless, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't say Director Brad Rosala from, Department of Howley Affairs, right? Like there's nobody who's held accountable, but they would be if they did that.
Right. And that's where, the budget that was allocated for the utilities, is supposed to be set aside so that it could be, when the agencies, like, let's say, for example, Carolinian Affairs receives their utility bill. They take that utility bill, gives it over to finance. Finance cuts a check for, Carolinia's Affairs. Mm-hmm. When DPW has a utility bill, that comes in, they give it over to finance, and finance, cuts the check and pays over to, to CUC. But then again, like I said, with all the government agencies, $2 million, $2 million compared to what you already owe is, are you even paying this arrears?
Yeah.
And if not, and CUC is passing that, this, this arrears over to us, is this thing coming down because we, as the taxpayers, are shouldering the cost? We don't know. So that's the reason why that an audit is extremely important, right? Because, okay, if the government is not paying, but they got $2 million, right? They give the CUC the $2 million to pay for their usage today. and then the arrears is being tagged on over to us, right? So isn't this arrears supposed to be going down because we're paying for it? We don't know.
Yeah, how do they do that if they don't pay for what they're supposed to? Like, you can't, as a line item for the budget for 27, can they say this? I need to have $30 million for my office, plus I need $1 million to start addressing my bad debt.
Right, and on the budget, right? If you look at the budget, and the budget is available online, on the legislative website. You could see all the agencies that they request this money for this many, right? Whatever, and some of them don't even list the like utility. Some agencies says that they need $500,000 for utility. Another agency would say 200,000. Some of them do that, but not all of them. So they just lump it all down into one. We just need this much budget, and that's it.
Because they're thinking salary.
So they don't break it down. On okay, if you're requesting for $500,000, how many of this did you budget for utilities? Not everybody did that. And that's what makes me frustrated with this, with this budget issue, because where is the utilities? I want to know every single entity that is using utilities, how much are you budgeting for your utilities? Because I want to know every single one and how much they're paying. Because if you're not budgeting for it, I don't know how much you're spending. You know what I mean? And if you're short, then you better cut something in your agency to cover this cost, because it shouldn't be passed down to, the ratepayers, and then it becomes an arrear.
Right. And which we got, it just hit me, aside from, this is massive, right? The budget for CUC and all that. I don't know if we're going to fix CUC this morning, but maybe we can. But really, it's been so long that we've had a Greco here now, right?
It might as well be a permanent structure of CUC.
Why? But if they're doing a better job of providing power to our Commonwealth, why don't we just make that switch all the way? Because if like, it sounds like blasphemy to even talk about something like that. But literally, we're not even producing the power, as much power for our Commonwealth, because a Greco is shouldering that load. We're paying a company to do our job for us. Right. We literally outsourcing not just labor, we outsource the materials and everything with that little...
it might as well be a PPP,
yes,
power purchase agreement.
That is exactly it. That's what we're doing.
A public-private partnership. Might as well be that. Because they've been there already for over a decade.
I remember when a Greco came in as an emergency back in the Fithiel days, right?
Right.
And then it's like, holy crap, all right, now we're going to get back together. Okay, we're rehabbing all these engines. This is going to be awesome, all this other stuff. Now, what the heck happened? Then they make some crappy deal for some used engine?
It became temporary permanent.
Yeah, no kidding. And so... but
at the tune of $3 million a year.
$3 million a year we're paying for that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're doing a bad job, but if they're doing a better job,
just buy every engine.
Yes, but they're literally doing a better job of it than we are, right? So should we just change what we're doing? Would it be less if there's right now, by having a Greco do that, we are saying as a utility that they could do it more affordably and more economically than we can by doing this ourselves right now.
I believe so.
So if that's the case, why don't we go all in?
Well, the reason why you don't want to do that now, there's a law that I'm also I propose an amendment to the law that if CUC was to sell, right, their power division or whatever division, right, that there's a law, and this is a crazy law, that anybody, like you're the investor, you want to take over, but you have to pay $250 million for it.
Why?
That's the law. So if you want to take over the power division, you have to pay $250 million for something that is not worth $250 million. Because you, as a smart investor, you know that when you're going to go in there, you're going to scrap all of these engines because they're very inefficient, they're old, they're just dilapidated. It costs more to fix it than might as well just buy a new one, right? So right off the bat, you're going to pay $250 million on something that's not worth $250 million, and you have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
It is crazy.
So that's why I'm amending that law to remove that $250 million mandate and make it like, if you're going to buy it, okay, what asset are valuable to, what's the actual cost of that asset? You know what I mean? If the land and the building and the resource, whatever it has in the warehouse is still useful, you audit that. So you need to have an auditor come in and, look at the power division and see how much it actually costs. Because if it doesn't cost $250 million, which I know it shouldn't cost that much, why am I going to pay for $250 million again? And then have to scrap it? And when I scrap it, I'm not even going to get my money back on the scrap metal. But yet I have to build you a new, state-of-the-art power plant that is going to cost me probably $250 million. So right off the bat, I just spent $500 million on something that I shouldn't even do. So that's why nobody would want to, take on this project. No investor in their right mind would spend $250 million on something that's not worth $250 million. And then remember too that, usually when they do these power purchase agreement or public-private partnership, there's a deadline date. There'd be 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. So how am I guaranteed to recoup my return? When is my return on investment going to start making me money? Because if I spend $500 million, you know what I mean, and half of this is just buying the rights to produce power and sell it, I might not even get my $500 million investment.
Wait, not
in
only
20
that,
years.
you also got to pay to lease the land.
Right. So that's why that law doesn't make any sense. So get rid of that law, and have it like, at the moment of the moment you audit it, and then you find out actually how much it costs. You get an appraiser, an actual utility appraiser to come in and like, this is how much this thing costs. And if it costs, $50 million, then sorry CUC and sorry Marianas, this is only worth $50 million because all your engine is dilapidated, your building infrastructure is dilapidated, your fuel system, your everything is dilapidated. I have to rebuild this whole thing.
You know what? Here's a question I got for you. Our population has gone down steadily since I left CUC. That's not why they left, but and back then our peak usage, when we had a lot of people and all kinds of stuff humming here, was like about 30 to 32 megawatts, right? Our power usage has gone through the roof compared to that. Like we use so much more power now compared to like 10, 11 years ago. And we've got way less population. Do you know why? While you're doing all this stuff, how is that possible?
Well, the back then, like 10 years ago, was like 40 something megawatt, and then when IPI came in, it went up to like 45, something like that, 45, 50 megawatt. When they close down, of course, the demand drops. When people leaves, the demand drops, and charging, what they're charging is one of the things that, it has to be spread across the board. When businesses shut down and hotels are not connected and people are leaving, but yet the amount of power that we need to keep the economy and, our society moving forward has to be spread out, equally across the board. And like I said, if the biggest consumer, that is the government, that is not paying its share, then, we are in a very, very bad position. And yes, I understand that, the governor doesn't want to, let go of people, but sooner or later you're going to have to. Right now we are, on austerity, people are furloughed, it's still not enough, and I'm probably going to be castrated for this, or, like not reelected for saying this, but the government needs to reduce itself. It needs to prioritize, your debt to the public, you know what I mean, and or to the service providers for you, pay your debt, so that and stop, they just need to be responsible like a household, When the government gets a service from the businesses, the community at large, and the government doesn't pay on time, then that means that business can't pay the tax that it's supposed to pay, unless the government expects it to pay it out of pocket and will pay you later.
See, now, I agree with you that the government needs to be reduced. But when I look at the budget, and I saw this with the budget at the board meeting for PSS, the only thing they're reducing is the personnel. Like, it's like they're saying that everything else is running so fine and so lean and so efficient that the only recourse is to just eliminate the amount we pay for people.
Whoever believes that is in La La Land.
Right. I think they're vaping something, right? So but when I think about it, like the commissioner of so-and-so driving a fancy ass car. Why do they have one? And why wouldn't you surrender it? Well, because, wait, that's one of my benefits. Well, if you're not willing to do it, what cuts have they made at these offices? Any of them.
Right.
And by that, I mean, even like the executive branch, I mean, you guys at the Senate and the legislature, and everyone else, even the judiciary, right? I mean, Your Honor.
And it's still crazy, because if they're saying that they're reducing manpower and they're cutting hours, great. But then at the same time, when you're giving somebody a pay raise,
yes,
it defeats the whole purpose.
Or hiring other people, right?
Right.
But the main thing is, though, if the only way that they're addressing these things is through the people instead of through their operation and how they're doing it and spending money, like PSS. Every single structure at PSS should be a solar farm, where that should deal with they've got plenty of real estate for all the schools, and most of them concrete buildings, even the new ones, but they should be relatively self-sufficient. They only operate during the day. So solar makes a great thing for them. Listen to me, I've got all the solutions. I'm the white Ambrose Bennett. I got all the answers, and I give them to you for free. Okay, so that's that, right? And then the other stuff, though, like what they're doing, like for you guys in particular, right? The guys that you work with, you go to work with every day and all this other stuff. I asked the Senate president, and I asked the Speaker of the House, and I asked the governor and the lieutenant governor. Then when they were talking about we're a house on fire and all this stuff's happening, what directive, what are you guys going to do? Well, we're going to make sure we do it. They didn't do anything. They hired people, and they gave people raises while all this stuff was happening, and they did not address any of it. They saved, and now after people started getting fired up about it, they're like, oh, we'll put those raises back. Not for all of them, but some other people they're like, well, they were open positions. I'm like, just because they're open doesn't mean you got to fill them. Right. And then number two, but they didn't issue any directive saying you guys can't drive as much, or now you only get this much. You have to park your vehicles at night. We're going to spend less here. We're going to break these leases with these vehicles or any of that. They did nothing.
Right.
Nothing. And so when they put all of that pain and hurt on everybody who works in the Commonwealth.
Right. And, because, I always say this, and I'm going to keep saying it, the CNMI government has mastered the art of inefficiency. They are the masters of it. Why in the world, with today's technology, are we still printing paper? You know what I mean? A perfect example, at the legislature, my secretary has to print paper, right, and hand it over to finance to process a PO or anything like that. Right? And then she has to drive back to the office, to continue working. Whatever happened to, being digital? You know what I mean? And why do I need, physical paper that costs money, and the ink, and ink is expensive, you know what I mean? That I have to bring personally over to you and then get it stamped, when an email does all of that. An email, stamp, date, received, all of that. And you can track it.
Yep.
So the art of inefficiency has been mastered by the CNMI government, and it doesn't want to let go.
So I I guess I've heard people talk about this at one point, and it sounded so fanciful, and I'm like, oh. But then I realized, like, any small town in the U.S., we're essentially a small town. Right. Saipan, Tinian's got its own small town. Rhoda's got its own small town. Villages and all that stuff. But small town USA, I understand. Or even a big city, right? City Hall, right? You know, they have a city hall. The small towns have their own town halls, right? Which is their municipal headquarters. They have their finance in there. They have their administration in there. They've got their licensing, their permitting. Right. You don't have to drive all the way to this side, to that side, to that side. And everybody doesn't have a lawn the size of a golf course that you got to cut too. And so you end up having to go all over the place instead of just having everything in one central location.
But with today's technology, you don't even need that.
No, you're right.
But computer.
But just the fact that you got to go all over the place. Right. Like finance is on Capitol Hill. Oh, finance is also in Dandan. Oh, wait, finance is also in Garapan. Like they're everywhere. Like, why do we have all these places? Well, we need a lot of space. Okay, I got it. Right. But it is inefficient, again, especially with the paper thing when you could do everything digitally. I know there's probably somebody who's going to have a real good explanation for that. I just haven't heard it. You know, like, oh, you got to no, you do have to go all over the place. You got to jump through a whole bunch of hoops. We're trying to get through all these things. We can't fix everything with the Commonwealth today, but at least the getting back to it, as far as reducing the expenses on stuff, the main thing is that we don't just have to focus on the people, right? How many offices I see what Candid's been doing lately, right? They've been doing all these things about the budgets and about the what do you guys call it? The allowances, right? You guys, first of all, they need to double all your salaries.
Right.
This sounds crazy in this, right? But listen, hear me out. And not like you're gonna say, no, I want less. But each one of you in the House and the Senate should get double what you're making. But get rid of the allowance.
Right.
Except for Tinian and Rhoda. Mm-hmm. The folks in Tinian and Rhoda, they should not have to spend their personal money or be handicapped in their ability to do their jobs because they have to come here to do it in Senate and in the House, right? It's not fair for them. And that's where those allowances initially came from until late Louis Chrysostomos said, hey, what about us, right, from Saipan. But they also shouldn't have a blank check for everything. I think if the Legislative Bureau manages a fleet of vehicles for those offices, and you don't have a big house in Saipan unless you want to pay for it, you have an office and you have an apartment like that all of the legislators are in. Instead of an allowance, we just have a government office that takes care of those houses. It could be under the Legislative Bureau. I don't know.
You could. Imagine, like, remember back in the day, those buildings up in Capitol Hill, right, belonged to, people from off island that would live there. So imagine if, the reps for, first and second were provided those housing. You know?
And that makes sense. Because they shouldn't be hampered by that. But I'll tell you what, there's not a single legislator here who should be driving around in a big-ass 4x4 SUV if they're not paying for it. And that's no dig on you guys if you're watching. Like, I'm not saying you guys are bad people or something, but we shouldn't be paying for that. You should be paying for that. But I got to reach my constituents. You can reach your constituents in a Corolla, right? Which are available right now at AK Toyota at $2,000 down payment assistance. But go find your reps today. Free insurance, free service. But you can get around and do all that business for your office in a vehicle that everybody else doesn't have to pay for. In fact, it should be embarrassing for people who are cruising around in some sloped out G-Ride that they're not paying for, that they wouldn't have if it wasn't for that position. And they're paying a ton for it, right? What are those leases, like $1,500, $1,800? because it includes service and all that stuff?
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere along the line between 8 and 1,200.
Yeah. So even if it was 1,200, like the fanciest, and by the way, there were people who got them even like after the election, before they were even sworn in, the dealerships were giving them out. Like, and that's crazy. Yeah. Anyhow, but like that's one thing that doesn't need to be in there, right? So like you guys get paid what you're deserved to be paid. You guys get paid instead of 32, you guys get paid 64. Great salary for Saipan, right? And Tinian and Rhoda. And then the folks from the 3 senators and the rep from Tinian and from Rhoda each can stay at the Commonwealth condos, whatever the apartment building is that is owned, maintained, and managed by the CNMI, whether it's a legislative bureau, maybe it's Northern Marianas Housing, whatever it is, that's what that is.
Right.
And given that base model, lowest bidder car to do their business on Saipan, and then that's it.
Get a nickel.
Yes, they still had them. That's why I said Corolla, right? Like, and that's it. And those leases again are they're procured through procurement, lowest bidder. Everyone's got to submit, and it's none of the crazy stuff. And the other one is, they do that deal where people get the sweetheart deal after the end of their lease. We'll sell it to you at a better deal just for you. Right? I mean, you get away from that. But if you end up doing that way, 2 things happen. One, it's less than spending the additional $5,000 or so for each senator, and then I think for the House it's lower. It's like $2,500 or something for and you get rid of this potential cloud of distrust, right? $32,000 a year. Like, people will say, hey, a part-time legislature might not be a bad idea, right? But the idea of roping somebody in for $32,000 a year who's got a family, I mean, there's not like a bunch of seasoned professionals who have been through it, who know like how they can really help you guys, who could survive on that. And I know that sounds crazy to some of the people watching, right? The idea that, like, how could you say that that's just a small amount of money? Well, it is big. Hey, we got a call coming in. Can you take it?
Yes, sir.
All right. You want to use the headphones so you'll be able to hear it better. All right. Havde Zentiro. Hey, Ray is calling this morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Brad. How are you?
Great. Hold
on. I wouldn't want to be on Congressman Adam's hot seat right now.
Oh, can you hear it now?
Yes.
But going back to CUC, I was always curious. What's the operational cost for CUC monthly, aside from all this fuel costs? And who's paying for the streetlights on the all over CNMI? Because those are liabilities.
Right.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's paying for all of that? So here's the problem about government. No matter how messed up the government, we, the taxpayers, are still responsible to pay for their mess up. And that we need to understand. And that is why in the Constitution, the legislature have to retire the debt of CNMI. Because we cannot move forward with all this deficit, just in particular CUC. You took the oath of office, really honestly. It's in the Constitution that they must retire the deficit.
Right.
And our deficit has continued to grow. And before we know it, we're going to be bankrupt.
Right.
Just like Puerto Rico. So the first thing that needs to be prioritized, or the legislature needs to prioritize, what is important to retire? The deficit in the mind or CUC obligations? Because the CUC obligation, it's a long story, and to make it short, before we even go to liabilities and who owes what to CUC, what's costing the CUC's operational cost? Because it seems to me, and which is Congressman Adon is right, it seems to me that every time we try to address CUC issue, management increase their salary. So that doesn't make any financial discipline.
Right.
You know, I don't understand the mathematics, the arithmetic, or the equation. I don't know what kind of formula CUC is using. It doesn't make sense, but we always have to be mindful. We, the taxpayers, are responsible for the mess of the government. And whether you like it or not, that's how it is. The question we have now is all these street lights or public sites that has power, is it incorporated in the billing? Are we, the taxpayers also, the billers or the customers paying for the street lights?
Yes.
Because we have residents in the cinema that we're providing free street lights. Is that fair? That taxpayers should be paying for somebody's street light at their property?
Nope.
So those are a lot of investigations and audit needs to be done, because we're just talking about the icing. We need to get to the bottom of the, whatever disease CUC have. And I don't know if Congressman ever asked CUC how much is costing CUC to operate monthly? Because obviously they're not paying attention to their deficit. So that's all I wanted to share. It's very frustrating, and I don't want to get carried and be emotional about it, because right now, like Congressman Adon said, if this is a private company, this is already filed for Chapter 11. But that's the reality and the fact, and I just wanted to share that with the public. All the deficit and the mess up that the government have, we the taxpayers are paying for it, for their messed up. Because let me take you the attitude in the government. Here's the attitude. I wanted to make this clear. The government, whoever's running the government, don't want to have any accountability for the messed up unless somebody's been penalized. Then that's when somebody has to take any expenditures in the government seriously. Thank you.
Right. Hey, thank you, Ray. Thanks for calling. Yes, good points.
So who's paying for the street light? DPW. So part of their budget goes to paying the street light. And, they're supposed to work together with CUC on this. And CUC is actually getting a cut of the 10% BMV funds, that are supposed to help replace, burnt out or damaged street light. Are they doing it? According to the public, they're not satisfied at all.
No, our streets are so dark.
Right. Yeah.
Do we have the wrong lights? Like, are they? So, I mean, I'm literally thinking about it. Like, when I drive back in the States, I don't like comparing us to the States, because if I want to live in the States, I'd go live there, right? Right. But their streets aren't dark. Like, either where the street lights are, it's still bright enough. And I'll tell you, if you don't, we got another call coming in. You ready? You want another one? Okay. All right, we have another call. Alfred Zantiro, thanks for calling the show. Who's this?
This is Mr. Another Ray Kiruga.
Another Ray. Oh, so I didn't even have to change a name. I could just put it on there. But hey, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Brad. Good morning, Congressman Adon. Buenas.
Buenas.
I just want to ask a CUC question, because I am a prepaid customer. I was asking this question to one of the CUC customer representatives. Why are they charging prepaid customers disconnection fee for reconnection?
Right.
And for me, it makes no sense. Why? I don't need a disconnection.
Right.
Because I will be disconnecting myself if I don't pay it.
Right. Absolutely. And then you reconnect yourself when you do pay.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But Congressman, they're demanding it, and I had to pay it in order to get the service.
Right.
And honestly, that's fair.
And that is one of the things, Mr. Kitugwa, that CUC needs to be audited to find out what are they doing and does it make sense and is it actually according to law, you know.
The reason why that extra $90, I can put it to the next month's credit,
Right. Absolutely. I totally 100% agree. Yeah. Why do you need to pay for something that just automatically connects and disconnects as, when you deposit?
And I control it, not them.
Right.
So, Ray, can I, real quick, did they charge you, when they charge you disconnection, is that them actually taking the meter?
No, see, the previous tenant that was here, right, I had a billing cycle monthly to the mail. So that's so I do not like to spend my time and gas, especially gas going, I just control it by myself, just like your bank account. So literally, it really puts responsibility, I swear to God. Being unemployed and I depend on whatever I can sell on whatever here where I am right now, I have to manage my consumption, So it really puts me in a position where every penny counts. But yet, just to get the service started, really, I had to really work hard, without working unemployed, but really I had to even crunch a little bit from here and there and borrow, but just to get the service, which I should really be doing it,
Right.
Because it makes no sense.
And here's the thing about that, when you are on a prepaid meter, you're absolutely 100% correct, Mr. Kitugwa, that, if I don't pay, my meter automatically shuts off. Nobody has to come there. So technically, there is no disconnection fee. And
it's
then
like driving a car, and you run out of gas.
Right. So when I do deposit money into my account, there is nobody here to reconnect. So where is this disconnection and reconnection fee? How does that make sense? That is where I think that a class action lawsuit can come in for all
I'll be the first one.
ratepayers.
If you have that ready, I'll be the first one.
Right. So, but I cannot, be the one to entertain that. I tried, and then as I looked into the law, it wouldn't be beneficial for, it wouldn't be. It's not right for me to be the one to push that. It is
thank you for the direction then.
I like that. Would be like Shell or Mobile coming after you for a disconnection fee.
And it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to cost the ratepayers anything. The court can rule that if the court wants to entertain the idea of a class action lawsuit, just to cease and desist that practice.
Right.
Anybody that is on a prepaid meter that doesn't have to physically somebody from CUC to come in to connect or disconnect, that they have to be charged connection or reconnection fee, So they could make a ruling that, cease and desist that rule. And the other thing that's crazy about CUC, the law says that CUC can only assess, like let's say, for example, 1 month of security deposit, but on their regulation, they say 2 months. This is crazy. So technically, CUC's regulation is overriding the law, which is supposed to be backwards. But then again,
I understand if I was on the monthly billing cycle, because my billing at the post office, yes, the disconnection fee would really be reasonable to apply on that category, but a prepaid, no.
Right.
I mean, I don't know who came up with that, but with the representative couldn't even answer me on the grounds of that question. So, but thank you again, Congressman, and I hope your effort would benefit us prepaid payers,
Yes, sir.
In the near future from here. Thank you again,
I'm going to look into that. I'll get with the commissioners and have them look into that and come up with a logic on why would CUC do something like that.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
By the way, and thank you, Ray. Thanks so much for calling. Really appreciate it.
You too. Have a day. Bye.
Have a day. All right. So, by the way, we had a comment that came in from Ann asking, hey, is there a Lifelink, something like that, for electrical service? And there is. I'm going to put it in the comments right now. So Lifeline Link Up is something that they have for the phone companies to help people who are eligible to get lower bills to make sure that you're able to have a phone at the house and all that other stuff.
Right.
So they have something similar for the utilities called LEHEP.
Right.
And it's and we just put the link in there right there. And it says it right there. Low income energy assistance plan, I think is what it stands
Program.
for. Yeah, program. So it's out there. They've got it. It says right here on the website, LEHEP's one of the most critical components of the social safety net. Program provides heating and cooling assistance to roughly 6.7 million households. That's not people, households. It's an exceptionally efficient and targeted program. Sounds like something we are lucky we got. With state block grants flowing to local agencies with specific clients on short-term basis to prevent utility shutoffs or assistance with heating and cooling bills. Boy, the cooling bills here, right? The cooling bills here, massive. By the way, yeah, this was great. We've had you on for like an hour and a half. You've been on with us.
Can I just make a comment on that LEHAP thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so just so that people understand, okay, there is a Sinamay law regarding this LEHAP, and this is what the law says. I'll explain it in layman's term.
Yeah.
The law says that, let's say, for example, that the household, right, is, because it goes by percentage. So let's just say we'll make the math simple. Let's say, for example, that your house, utility on a monthly basis averages out to like $400 a month, right? And let's say that you qualify 50% of LEHAP. So that means that out of the 400, 200 you pay, and then LEHAP pays the other half, which is another 200. Now, if you and the household paid your 200 and LEHAP has not deposited that 200, CUC cannot cut you off.
Good.
Because it is not your end of the deal that you were short. It's the government's program that was short. So the law states that when you pay your part of the bill and the government LEHAP program didn't pay, CUC cannot cut you off.
You know, that's great. Is that something new?
No.
Because I remember people complaining about that not super long ago. Like, hey, but it's not my fault that we got cut off because, I paid for my part, or, I get assistance, and the government cut me off. Like, yeah, that's not fair.
Right. And they shouldn't be paying for a connection or reconnection fee.
Because of that, yeah.
Yes.
I want to know how you would get disconnected from a prepaid meter.
Right.
It's
a computer program.
Right.
It's
How do they
software.
say, like, it just runs out?
Right.
Right? So
Absolutely.
how do
It's like like Mr. Kitagua said, it's like his bank card. If we all go to the store and you got $1 in there and then you swipe something for $2, it's not gonna, go through. So it's just gonna decline. So that means it's just gonna get shut off automatically.
Yes.
So where were you? I didn't see you come over here and, disconnected something. Everything is on the computer. So why are you charging me something that's...
Exactly.
Because I'm pretty sure that there's nobody sitting in that computer and like pushing a button like, yep, you're disconnected. Yep, you're reconnected. Yep. It's all digital. It can do it by itself.
Awesome. Well, I can't do this by myself. I need you in here to talk about all this great stuff. This was awesome. We got a ton of comments from folks all over the place. We weren't able to keep up with all of them, but this was great. People able to reach out to you directly. I know you're available to people all the time.
Absolutely.
But being able to have this conversation, the questions, answers, and this will be up there as a standalone. Also, thanks so much for getting in here this morning.
Yeah,
this is really outstanding. All right, guys. Well, while you're here with us, we're gonna get the latest news from the Associated Press. Let's get that on there now so you guys can, get to know what's going on out here in the Commonwealth. And that was the last one that was up there. This should be the new one that's available now. Bum, 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 and there it is. All right. We're not used to seeing them this late in the day, but we're here. Be right back.
I'm Ben Thomas with an AP News Minute. Venezuela's acting president has signed into law an overhaul of the country's oil industry, easing state control in an effort to lure investors and reversing a tenet of the self-proclaimed socialist movement. And Karen Chamas has developments involving Iran.
The European Union has listed Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization in the aftermath of Tehran's bloody crackdown on nationwide protests. Kaja Kallas, the EU's foreign policy chief, said that the bloc's foreign ministers unanimously agreed on the designation. Earlier in the day, Kallas told reporters,
"If you act as a terrorist, you should also be treated as terrorist."
The listing came after the 27-nation bloc sanctioned 15 Iranian officials, including commanders in its Revolutionary Guard, over the violent crackdown on protesters. Activists say the crackdown has seen over 6,300 people killed. I'm Karen Shamas.
And I'm Ben Thomas.
Fox Sports Update.
LeBron, considering the fact that you're not under contract for next year, and again, we've used the term unprecedented for being in year 23, on the way here during the game, at any point do you think like that this could be the last game I play here, so I better soak it in? Yes.
LeBron James could not hide his emotions last night. Back in Cleveland, Ohio, his home state, to play for the Lakers against his first NBA team, the Cavaliers. For perhaps the final time in his career in Cleveland, LeBron scored 11 points on 3 of 10 shooting. Lakers lost to the Cavaliers by 30, 120-99. In the first quarter, the Cavaliers showed a video tribute from the 2007 playoffs in Cleveland to LeBron, which brought the 23-year NBA veteran to tears on the Lakers bench.
Every road arena that I've been in, just trying to take everything in, not take the moments for granted, because it could be, obviously I haven't made a decision on the future, but it very well could be. So, no matter if it's here or, going to Washington, playing the next game, Garden, Barclays, on this trip. So obviously it means a little bit more here for me personally because of, grew up 35 minutes south of here.
Homecoming for LeBron James. Was it his final NBA game in Cleveland? Stay tuned.
This is Ainsley Earhart. Thank you for joining me for the 52-episode podcast series, The Life of Jesus.
A listening experience that will provide hope, comfort, and understanding of the greatest story ever told. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Ahead of the first practice today in prep for Super Bowl 60, the Patriots listed quarterback Drake May on a projected injury report yesterday because of his right shoulder. The Patriots say May would have been a limited participant at practice if the team were on the field yesterday. The Los Angeles Chargers have found a new defensive coordinator, Chris O'Leary, who coached the Chargers safeties in 2024 and this past season was defensive coordinator at Western Michigan University. He replaces Jesse Minter. Not only did O'Leary work under Minter in 2024 for the Chargers, the team's new defensive coordinator got his start in coaching as a grad assistant at Georgia State in 2014 when Minter was the defensive coordinator there. For more scores, stories, and features, go to foxsports.com. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
Hey, bro, can I grab your bush?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Right on. Thanks, bro. Hey, bro, can I grab your bush too?
Sure, bro. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Now I can grab my own bush. Saipan, it's time to grab your bush. Pick up a 12-pack of ice-cold Bush, and you're in for more than just a refreshing beer. Every 12-pack gives you a chance to win exclusive Bush gear and more. So don't wait. Swing by your favorite store, grab your Bush, and join the fun. Because here in Saipan, the best moments are even better with Bush. Grab your Bush today.
Shiny smiles all around where happiness is found. It's the little things that make it true. Shiny smiles start with you.
Are you or someone you know living with a mental illness? Have you experienced abuse or neglect, denial of services, or discrimination because of a mental illness or disability? You have rights. NM Posse is the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems Incorporated, and we're here for you. Individuals diagnosed with mental illness have human, civil, and legal rights under federal and local law. No one should be mistreated, denied services, or discriminated against because of a disability. NM Posse's PIME program provides protection and advocacy for individuals with mental illness and provides information about your rights, advocacy and assistance for eligible individuals, and support in cases involving abuse, neglect, or discrimination. Services are confidential and provided at no cost to eligible individuals. To learn more, call NM Posse today at 670-235-7273 or 7274 or email gborja@nmposse.org. If you see something, say something, and stay anonymous. Call Crime Stoppers at 234-7272 or submit a tip online at nmicrimestoppers.com. No names, no caller ID, no recordings, just your info. And if your tip leads to an arrest, you could earn up to $1,000 in cash. Your tips have helped take hundreds of criminals off the streets in the NMI. It works because of you. Crime Stoppers, we want your information, not your name. PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Wake up, sunshine, it's a brand new day. Brad's got the stories that'll light your way. Take a smile on his face, he's ready to share. Share. Good morning, Marianas. Feel the love in the air. Good morning, Marianas. Come join the fun. Together we'll shine like the morning sun.
With the waves crashing in, hear the ocean's call. Brad brings the news that connects us all. From the islands to the world, those kind of wish. Good morning, Marianas, the best time of year.
Good morning, Marianas. Let's start the day. Laughter and stories, come what may.
All right, Marianas, welcome back. It is 9:46 in the morning. Can you believe it? We're still going. I know. But it has been a great show today. I want to say thanks to Congressman Cobre Aldan for joining us this morning and doing a deep dive. And we went way past just plain old CUC stuff and talking about that 1% for OPA and then getting into all these other issues about expenditures and everything throughout the Commonwealth. Big deal. For sure, but great to have him on here and take your calls and everything. That is 100% the best way to do it. I love it. Thank you so much for being a part of the show and doing that. Thank you guys for calling in today as well. Remember, today is a big day because today we've got the folks who support our kids just next door. It is the opening for Little League Baseball tonight over there at Tonco Field. I'm looking for the flyer. I know I have it handy. I should probably just look in my Louisa message box and it'll be right there. But it's right around here somewhere. But I can't remember exactly what time it was. If it's like 6, is it 6:30? Maybe it's earlier. Maybe it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to find it though. I have it. Dang it. I just got to go to my Louisa WhatsApp. Hold on. Darn it. Of course it is. There it is. Boom. It is 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock tonight. Yeah, we'll pop it up there on the screen for it, as long as it actually shows up there. But it is. There we go. Yes. Kapoom. SLLB. Boom. And hopefully that'll be easy enough for me to find it right away up on top there.
Let's do a quick refresh. Yes, there it is. All right. Well, anyway, man, I'll tell you what, it is great. I can't wait for all this stuff to kick off again today. The Little League Baseball is going to be outstanding. It's going to be exciting to see it again. And thank goodness we've got good weather for it right now. There it is. Look at that, finally. It's a little small. How about now? There you go. Saipan Little League Baseball opening ceremony tonight, 6 p.m. Town Coplacious Field, right down the street. You don't want to miss it. Whether you're a sponsor, whether you're a parent, whether you're a player, a coach, a fan, a family member, you name it, this is going to be a lot of fun tonight. So there you go. Wow, what a day. What a week. What a weekend. And that is going to be a big thing tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. I do want to talk about one more thing before we get out of here. So tomorrow's the big day. Tomorrow is the gala for the Business Person of the Year, and I am excited about it. Now, I'm excited for a lot of different reasons, but one of them is because, there's 4 people who are nominated for Business Person of the Year. I'm one of them. Ooh, fancy. But it's just cool to know that that someone even would think of you in terms of that, to nominate you, which is great. But what I really like about it is that the other folks who are nominated for it, you've got Glenna Sakisat Palacios. She is with Marianas Integration. She used to run the Commonwealth Bureau of Military Affairs and then moved into starting her own company and supporting the military while they're out here with all kinds of logistical support and all that, and doing a great job at it. And I love it. I love that she started her own company and did all this stuff. And I've worked with her for a bunch of different projects between the chamber stuff and then when I was with the military out here with DOD and all that. And then also have Tina Azarvand. She's an attorney out here who specializes in tax law. And I've gotten to know her over the last year plus now. She's so awesome. She really is great. She's fun to hang around with for sure, but super knowledgeable. And she's like one of those people that helps her friends out too. She's not one of those people who's just like, oh, just a me. No, she's great because she gives back and everything. So she's also nominated. And then Joshua Wise. Mr. PHI, my favorite pill pusher. But he is such a good person, and we all, and a great friend. Very lucky to count him among my friends because he's such a good dude. I'm so glad that his wife lets him hang out as late as we usually hang out, because when we start hanging out, there's not usually a 9 o'clock night. I mean, it's usually a 2 o'clock in the morning kind of night when I'm hanging out with Josh Wise. It happens. But he's such a good person. But and boy, when I started reading some of the answers to his questions for these things, I'm like, man, he's so, even the way he answers his questions, he's considerate of others and everything. I love it. Well, anyway, we are given some questions to answer. We all, I think, got the same questions. What initially inspired you to pursue your career or start your business in the CNMI, and how has that motivation evolved over time? And that's one. Number 2, can you describe a key challenge you've faced in the past year and how overcoming it shaped your approach to leadership? Number 3 is, how do you envision your work contributing to the long-term growth and resilience of the CNMI's business community? Number 4 was, what role has community collaboration played in your success? And can you share an example of a partnership that has made a meaningful difference? And finally, if you could offer one piece of advice to emerging business leaders in the Northern Mariana Islands, what would it be? Well, in the first one, the way it was worded, I didn't answer it. I answered it, the way I wanted to. But, it's what initially inspired you to pursue your career or start your business in the CNMI, and how has that motivation evolved over time? The thoughts behind it and all that were one thing, but I think more than anything, it's the people who really helped with this. It goes back to a conversation I was having with a friend of mine, John Demapon. And it was just a random one night in Soupy, going to Joten, saw him pulled over just to say, hi, how's it going? And next thing we started getting into this long conversation. And one of them was about doing something like this. And he's there, Brad, we're going to manifest this tonight. We're going to put it out to the universe. You are going to start this, and it is going to work. Years ago, there was a wonderful conversation. And John Demapon, thank you, man. It was your birthday the other day, and I missed it. I saw it last night, and I'm like, oh, it was just like the other day. I'm like, dang it. But John Demapon, one of the people who inspired me and gave me some great words and some supportive words, and always provides those kind of comments in his messages, and just a great dude. Another person, Jojo Alapuzzo. He's out there in the snow right now. We talked about him earlier today, but he's like, come on, bro. We need to get a studio. You need to do this. You know this is what you want to do. And then it was really funny. It was like he was the free agent or the general manager of a sports team trying to talk me into joining, to leaving. When I was at Triple J, he's like, come on, bro. You know that's not what you want to do. You know this is what you want to do. Damn it, he's right. Yeah, that's where the motivation, the little nudge. But I'll tell you, it is not easy to make that choice and to do something like that and to make that leap and go at it full on. But that's the only way to do it. And that goes back to the last question on there. It says, if you could offer one piece of advice to emerging business leaders in the Northern Mariana Islands, what would it be? And I've got some of them. I know a team of really super talented people, and they're all doing their thing, but they're also talented. But do it. They haven't done this yet. They're doing their stuff on the side, and they're great at doing it. And I think they're just waiting for one of them to just make the first step. But here's the thing. The one piece of advice, unsolicited. If you're bold enough to chase your passion, then take the leap with both feet. You must fully commit to your goal, or you will deprive yourself of what your dream job is truly meant to be. True story. You can't be half in and half out. When you commit fully to that job, to that career change and everything, holy crap, everything changes. Everything about what you do becomes that, and the success of that. If you don't do it, if you have a safety valve, you're never going to go at it the same way. You won't pursue it the same way. At least that was the case for me. So that's that one piece. Mylan, great to see you. Marcia, great to see you this morning. I know it's a late day, right? It's a late one. But getting back to that motivation thing, let's see if we can't. We only got a couple of minutes left before we get out of here. Okay, well, I have his number. I just don't have it on the show phone.
To transport troops.
Yeah, not looking for that. Should pop up pretty quick here. We're going to call this Turkey.
Good morning. How can I help you?
I know you're working, and I know you're a busy guy.
Oh, snap.
And I know that it's late, but you're on the air, and I have a message for you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my God.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
Holy cow.
birthday, even though it's a couple days late, John Demapon. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Now that I'm totally stealing your busyness over there at the.
For real, you got me stage fright right now, eh?
Hey, man, I was just talking about you on the show, and you know, I posted those questions that they gave me from the for that story about the business person of the year stuff. Said,
yes, I saw it last night on your Facebook.
Yeah, so what initially inspired you to pursue your career or start your business in the CNMI, and how has that motivation evolved over time? And I kind of gave this like yearbooky thing about like just the business thing, but really that's like the business part of it. But it was less about like the inspiration. It was more about the people, and that you're one of those pivotal people from our first conversation about this at night in Susupi, going to Joe 10.
Joe 10 Susupi, yes.
And we were talking about this and talk about challenges and all kinds of things happening in the world. And you're like, Brad, we're going to manifest this. We're going to put this out to the world tonight, that you are going to make this work, and it is going to be successful. And it was awesome. You are one of the people that gave me the confidence.
Imagine you started from your house. You started from your house in San Vicente to where it is now. So that's like, you started from a small manifestation to a very big manifestation, and I'm proud of you for chasing the dream. Our dream, if you want to call it that way, right?
Yes, but it wouldn't have happened. I mean, like that was it. Like that, those kind of conversations, man. That was it. That was such a big push. What a testament to.
I was your Denzel Washington motivational speaker to make it happen.
Yes, and now you're helping move people in other ways.
Yes.
Over at Coda.
Yes.
Man, you are the man. But this whole thing that to start it, keep it going, and then you continue. And then you send me messages all the time to like just support and good ideas and all that stuff. I really
to bring guest speakers and stuff, and and topics as well.
Yep, dude, I'm thankful for you, man. And
man.
Wait, how old are you now?
I am 38. 2 more years to the 40.
Wise beyond your years. 38 years old.
Yes, 38 don't hate.
That's awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you from work, but I just wanted to reach out to you and say happy birthday.
Man, thank you guys, and thank you to our listeners for tuning into NMI News Service and for making it what it is today.
Awesome, man.
And also to our sponsors at NMI News Service. Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, man. Hey, but thanks for reaching out, and definitely we will touch base through other means outside of the workplace. So
Yeah, and I don't only have to call you on air.
I know. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch this replay, maybe at lunchtime.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Take care, Steve. Take care, Steve, man. All right.
All right, bye-bye. All right, John Demapon, the man, the myth, the legend. All right, guys, now we are going to wrap it up for the day. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.